I never believed in the stories they told about skinwalkers. Not until that night when something happened up in the desert that shattered everything I thought I knew. One night, out near my cabin, I saw something. Something with glowing amber eyes staring right through me. I never froze like that before. I never wanted to run so badly but couldn't move. What came next changed me forever. And the truly terrifying question is, what would you do if the thing watching you could see right into your mind? Tonight, we're diving into true Skinwalker horror stories that actually happened. So stick close and keep watching till the end to find out what happened, before it was too late. But before we start, make sure to subscribe or follow so you never miss any new chilling releases. If you're enjoying the content, hit like, drop a comment, and share this video. Let's see if we can hit 500 likes before the next episode and find out how many of you truly love this kind of content. But there's a little twist. One of the stories you're about to hear might not be real. It could be completely made up, or maybe they're all true. Watch till the end. Try to guess which one, and leave your guess in the comments. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. And now, let's dive into the darkness together. I didn't believe in skinwalkers. Not really. Just campfire stories, urban legends people tell when they have too much time on their hands. When I took the seasonal ranger job up in northern Arizona's high desert, I figured I'd get to enjoy the peace and quiet, and maybe earn some extra cash. The job looked easy on paper: patrol the rugged ridges, keep an eye out for illegal hunting, and report anything strange. The ranger station was perched on a lonely ridge overlooking miles of scrubland and rocky hills. Cell phones didn't work out here, and the closest neighbor was miles away. Just me, the wind, and the desert. From the moment I arrived, I felt something wrong. Locals warned me, of course, but I thought it was all superstition. "Don't wander out after dark," one old-timer said. "Stay inside when the wind's howling. There's things out there, things you don't want to meet." I laughed it off, but the warnings lingered in my mind like a bad dream. The first night was dead quiet, except for the wind scraping dry branches. I kept my shotgun close, but nothing happened. Just the usual desert silence. But by the third night, the stories started to feel less like folklore. It began with eyes, two amber glints reflecting back at me from across the ridge, maybe 100 yards away. Too big for any coyote or bobcat. My heart hammered as I grabbed the flashlight and swept the beam over the brush. Nothing. The eyes vanished like they'd never been there. I tried telling myself it was just a trick of the light, but those glowing eyes showed up again, closer this time. That's when my doubts started to crumble. I kept busy during the day, patrolling, checking traps, fixing fences, but the feeling of being watched never left. Whenever I moved through the scrub, I heard footsteps behind me, soft, deliberate, matching my pace. I'd spin around, and there'd be nothing but empty brush and the wind. One afternoon, I was hiking a narrow canyon when the footsteps got louder, closer. I spun around, heart racing, but all I saw was dry rocks and dust stirred by the breeze. Inside the cabin, things got stranger. Doors I locked in the morning were open by evening. Muddy footprints appeared on the porch, fresh, though no one was around. Worst of all, a strange symbol was scratched into the wooden doorframe. Deep claw marks intertwined with what looked like twisted human-like fingers. I snapped a photo and showed it to an old Navajo woman at the market. Her face darkened when she saw it. "That's a warning," she said quietly. "A mark from a skinwalker. They curse places they visit." She told me skinwalkers could mimic humans, animals, even voices. The worst part? If you meet their eyes, they can control your mind. That night, sleep was impossible. The wind rattled the windows like a beast scratching to get inside. Every creak and groan of the cabin sounded like footsteps creeping closer. Then I heard it. A low, guttural breathing just beyond the porch light. I peeked through the curtain. There it stood. A tall, hunched figure just beyond the reach of the light. Its amber eyes burned bright and unblinking. Its face was a grotesque mix of flesh and fur, sunken cheeks, twisted, snarling lips, more nightmare than beast. I froze. For a moment, I thought it might vanish, like before. It didn't. I shut the curtain and stayed still until dawn. In the morning, deep claw marks gouged the porch floor, jagged, fresh. The symbol on the doorframe had grown, more scratches, more twisted shapes. My heart pounded. The isolation suffocated me. Fear gnawed at my mind. One day, I found a deer carcass mutilated beyond anything a coyote or mountain lion would do. Its throat was ripped open, eyes gouged out. I took pictures and filed a report, but the local authorities dismissed it as scavengers. Still, I felt I wasn't alone. I started carrying my revolver and a hunting knife everywhere. At night, I trained a flashlight on the windows, waiting for those eyes to reappear. One evening, sitting on the porch, I caught movement in the corner of my eye, a shadow slipping between rocks at the edge of the ridge. I swung the flashlight around. Nothing, just silence and dry desert brush. Then the voice came. Software. Barely more than a whisper, but unmistakable. Help me. It wasn't human, not quite. Desperate, pleading. I told myself it was the wind, or my mind playing tricks. Maybe I was just losing it. But the voice came again, closer, more urgent. I grabbed my gun and flashlight and headed into the darkness, heart pounding in my ears. The desert was cold, sharp. Every crunch of my boots sounded deafening. I followed the voice down a narrow ravine, the flashlight beam cutting through dense scrub and twisted juniper. Suddenly, the voice stopped. In the darkness, something moved, a hulking figure emerging from shadows. It was the creature, with those same glowing amber eyes that pierced through me. I froze, fingers tightening on my gun. It didn't advance. Instead, it tilted its head, watching me like a predator sizing up prey. I remembered the woman's words, never meet their eyes. I forced my gaze downward, slowly backing away. Then I felt it, an overwhelming coldness, like the desert itself had turned against me. I ran, heart hammering, back to the cabin, slamming the door behind me. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I packed my gear and left. This job wasn't worth dying for. As I drove down the dusty road, I glanced back once. The figure stood on the ridge, watching me leave. Even miles away, I could feel its eyes burning into my mind. Some stories are true. Some things out there want you gone. In the summer of 2013, I figured it was time to actually hunt coyotes. Not just for sport, but for their fur. That sweet, valuable fur that's worth some cash if you can get it right. I grabbed my cheap bare-bones AR-15. Nothing fancy, just a basic rifle I picked up for cheap. I liked how the AK sling worked, so I rigged a sling point on the barrel and slung it messenger bag style across my chest on my right side. I loaded up my ATV and headed up the mountain to my little cabin out in the woods. This place was pretty remote. Perfect coyote country. For a few weeks before this, I'd been throwing squirrel and rabbit guts around the woods near the cabin to attract predators. The idea was simple: bait, wait, and then hunt. When I got there, I checked my bait spots. Everything was gone, all the guts eaten or dragged off. That was a good sign, but it also gave me a weird feeling, like something was watching. The neighbor down the road, the only other person living around, pulled off in his car just as I was getting settled. I nodded to him, but he didn't seem interested in chatting. He left pretty quick. I decided to poke around the woods a bit before nightfall. Every few steps, I kept hearing this soft, shuffling noise in the grass and brush, like footsteps, but light and cautious. I caught movement down the hill, a stick figure shape, thin and tall, just standing there watching me. I waved to it, but it slipped behind a tree. I shrugged it off and headed back to the cabin. I sat on the porch, cracked open a beer, and kept my rifle ready. The coyote yelps echoed through the woods. After a while, they changed, or maybe I just heard it wrong, into a distant human-sounding cry. "Help me! Help me!" I froze. I looked over at my neighbor's place. The lights were off. I didn't think much of it until the cries came again. Closer this time. Desperate. I figured maybe he'd hurt himself. Maybe he broke a leg or something and got stuck out there with coyotes closing in. I grabbed my keys and my rifle, hopped on the ATV, and followed the ATV trail into the woods toward the cries. The path dipped down into a U-shaped hollow. I coasted down, eyes peeled. Suddenly the voice screamed, "Help me!" right in front of me. I swerved to avoid something and flipped the ATV. Everything went black for a minute. When I came to, the ATV was on top of me. My left leg was pinned under the machine. I tried pushing it off, but it felt like it had gotten 100 pounds heavier in seconds. My arm was bleeding, but I still had my rifle sling around my neck. I dragged the rifle close. The handguard was busted, stock cracked, but it was still usable. I had 30 rounds left. The forest fell utterly silent. No wind, no birds, nothing. I sat perfectly still, trying to listen. Then I heard it, soft shuffling in the grass nearby. The silence was so thick, it felt like the woods were holding their breath. Then the shuffling got closer. I saw something looming over the ATV. This thing was huge, easily 9 feet tall but frozen like a statue. I twiddled my fingers and slowly brought the rifle to my shoulder, pointing it at the creature. I didn't want to look at it directly. My fear was crushing. It repeated, "Help me." The voice was low and cracked. The thing grabbed my face, cold and rough. My mind went blank, fumbling for the trigger, but I couldn't find it at first. It slowly turned my head to look me in the eyes. Its face, just like the stories, like some kind of golem twisted by crack and neglect. Deep sunken cheeks, hollow eyes, and worst of all, the smell. The foulest breath I've ever smelled in my life. Suddenly I felt the flash hider of my rifle bump something. My brain kicked back in. I screamed and fired as fast as I could. The creature screamed back, a guttural, horrible sound, and slammed my head against the dirt. It yanked the gun from me and started beating me with it, still screaming madly. Lights flickered through the trees. Flashlights, maybe headlights. I was about to black out when I heard a louder shout. The thing's head seemed to explode open in a blur of motion. I dropped the gun and ran, screaming like a child being dragged into a nightmare. The neighbor was there, shouting my name, pulling me up. He had a huge revolver, a Magnum Research BFR. Then blackness again. I woke up in the hospital with dozens of stitches in my head. When I asked the neighbor what he saw, he just said, "A bear. We get them often up here." But I know what I saw. No bear could have done what that thing did. I still hear that voice sometimes whispering, "Help me." I spent most of my adult life fighting wildfires across New Mexico. 10 years of carving fire breaks through rugged ridgelines, sleeping in ash-stained tents, and trusting the guy behind you with your life. It was tough, dirty work, but the rules were clear. Fire behaves in patterns. You watch the wind, you learn the land, and you always keep an eye on the smoke. I thought I'd seen everything, until that assignment in the Chuska Mountains. The Chuskas run along the Arizona-New Mexico border, thick with pine, steep with canyons, and always a wind away from turning a controlled burn into a full-blown disaster. We were running a routine burn near Tohatchi, partnered with tribal firefighters from the Navajo Nation. These guys knew the land better than any GPS. They moved with caution and reverence, and they had stories. Don't hike near certain ravines after sunset. Don't whistle near Coyote Wash. Don't follow voices in the dark. I listened politely, chalked it up to folklore. I didn't believe in anything I couldn't measure. Fire was real, legends weren't. The day it happened, we were setting backfires up the ridge. I was sent to scout smoke reports near a narrow drop-off called Coyote Wash. As I was loading up, Ben Hostin, the tribal crew lead, walked over. He was a serious guy, didn't talk much. "You shouldn't go down there alone, not this late," he said, nodding toward the ravine. "I'll be quick," I told him. "Just smoke check. Shouldn't take long." He didn't smile. Just looked off at the trees like he wasn't seeing them. "Just be careful. That place plays tricks." I hiked out around 5. Sun was still up, but it clung low, and the ridge was already heavy with shadow. The wash looked calm. Dry brush, jagged rock, and a soft wisp of smoke curling up from near the base. That was the first odd thing. We hadn't burned anything that far down. I keyed the radio. Unit 49 to base. Got smoke near Coyote Wash. Do we have a perimeter burn down here? Static. No response. I checked GPS. Signal bounced like crazy. Typical canyon interference. I started down the slope anyway. Needed to confirm the smoke source. That's when things got strange. The smoke started moving sideways. Not up. Sideways. Every time I stepped forward, it drifted, staying just out of reach. When I stopped, it froze. Not dissipating, just hanging there. Too still. I tried the radio again. This time it cracked. But instead of a reply, I heard my own voice. Same cadence. Same words. Unit 49, do we have a perimeter? But warped, like an old tape slowing down. I stared at the speaker. No way. Radio repeaters don't work like that. Tried climbing back up. That's when I saw the smoke again, ahead of me now. Like it had moved without moving. There was no wind, no draft, just me and the dry hush of the canyon. I moved faster, but every path I took looped me right back to the same spot. I tied bright orange tape to a tree, picked a landmark, climbed in a straight line. 10 minutes later, the same knot of tape fluttering in the same tree. Somewhere in the failing light, my sense of direction failed entirely. Then the figure showed up, or at least, the outline. It started as a thicker patch of smoke. Not dense, not like fire. Just a vague shape, tall, narrow, crouching slightly in the trees. When I shined my flashlight on it, it froze. I took a step back. It did too. It was copying me. I pivoted right. It pivoted right. Not slowly, not randomly. Step for step. That's when I shouted. Not protocol, not smart, but instinct. Leave me alone. The radio crackled. It set it back. Leave me alone. Same inflection. Same tremble in my voice, only twisted, like it didn't understand what the words meant. I turned and ran. My boots hit soft dirt, then ash. The smell of burnt brush hit me strong and strange. I slipped, fell, and when I looked back, I saw footprints, mine, but mirrored, like someone had walked the path in reverse, using my steps as a guide. Then I heard it again, not from the radio, from the woods behind me. Unit 49, it rasped, almost gleeful, almost laughing. My voice hollowed out. I didn't look back. I climbed until my legs screamed, until I saw a flicker of campfire light ahead. Salvation. I pushed toward it, but something yanked my pack from behind. Hard. I hit the ground, dust in my lungs, eyes stinging. Above me, smoke swirled downward. Not blown, not falling. Funnel-shaped, deliberate. I kicked out, rolled away, scrambled up like a terrified animal. The thing didn't chase, not visibly, but I could hear footsteps behind me. Mine, just a second delayed. That broke me. I don't remember much of the last 100 yards. Just trees, darkness, pain. Then, light. A flashlight beam in the woods. "Hey!" I screamed. Ben stepped out from the shadows, flashlight in one hand, the other raised. "Don't move," he said firmly. I obeyed without question. He helped me up. Didn't say much, just murmured softly in a language I didn't recognize. Maybe a prayer. Maybe a ward. I didn't ask. When we got back to camp, the others wrapped me in a blanket. I couldn't stop shaking. I barely drank the water someone handed me, couldn't answer their questions. Later, Ben sat beside me by the fire. "What did you see?" he asked quietly. I hesitated, then whispered. "It copied me. My voice. My steps. It wasn't a person." He nodded slowly, like he already knew. "That's why we don't burn after sundown here." An older firefighter nearby added in a low voice, "Smoke doesn't always rise when it's done." No one laughed. No one doubted. I left the next day. Didn't say much. I turned down every assignment near tribal land after that. Not because I didn't believe in science or training anymore, but because I now know some things out there don't care about your maps, your plans, or your logic. Sometimes smoke remembers you, and sometimes it follows. If you've made it to the end of this video, let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most, and if you could survive only one of them, which one would it be? Don't forget to drop your guess. Which story do you think was the fake one? Also, if you enjoyed the episode, hit super thanks if you're on YouTube, or send us some stars if you're on Facebook to show some love and make your comments stand out. Want to go next level? Get early access to upcoming episodes, exclusive members-only content, and much more by joining our YouTube membership or becoming a Patreon supporter. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's waiting there for you. Don't forget to like, share, and catch up on our previous episodes. And now, stay tuned for the next horror episode.